Right, welcome, Jeff. Thanks for joining us. And you just completed the Agentic AI cohort program as a beta tester, and the program got much better thanks to your inputs. And I'm happy that you thoroughly enjoyed it. But yeah, I got like 5 questions, starting with maybe a quick intro and yeah, where you felt the desire to join the program. What was missing in your experience, and where did you want to upskill?
Okay. And so I'm sorry, is that a question?
Yeah.
Okay. So I love the program. I really wanted to try to learn more about AI. It's a giant world and changing every day, and I didn't even know in many ways where to start. And then when you told me that you were thinking about doing an AI cohort, I said, "Oh, please do that and sign me up, and I will happily jump in feet first." And I did, and then I learned that I was the only student, and and I said at the beginning that I expected myself to crash and burn because I have very spotty background, and I expected the course to crash and burn because I've given many courses on many things. And that was okay by me. And I was willing to keep being enthusiastic through the whole thing and just tolerate whatever happened. And now I have something that's got, I don't know, probably 10,000 lines of code, 20,000 lines of code, something, and a few thousand lines of code anyway, and almost 250 unit tests. And it's got 3 different user interfaces. It has a web user interface. It has a command line interface, and it even talks to my telephone, which is crazy. And I really wanted to do that. Especially, I had told Bob beforehand that I learned from listening to other people I know that AI agents talk to one another through Telegram now, the same thing I use to talk to friends of mine overseas. And he said, "Oh, that's great, because Juanjo has already put a Telegram unit in there." And we did that. I've now talked to Telegram with my agent that I wrote. And I learned a lot of stuff about how agents really work, so that now I can look at agents and say, wait, I understand what's going on in there. I have a good mental model for it. And I also learned tons of Python, frankly, because my Python programming was mediocre at best. Does that answer the question that you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, great job. I think the war stories we had around the Telegram bot, which was particularly challenging, right?
It was very challenging. Well, I got sort of to the end of that week and I was not even close. And I said, okay, I failed, I failed you. And you said, go on to the next week, because we've designed the software so that those units are independent of one another. And so you can just go on to the next week and we'll rewrite it. And rewriting it was not a trivial challenge, because when you sent me the material, there were 90 plus pages, almost 100 pages worth of material for that week. So I thought, oh, good. I have a new novel to read this week. But then by the time we came back to it, it was way better. Thank you. And I was able to get through it, and it works. So
Yeah, it was funny. It was kind of meta learning for us as well, right? V2 got back to 41 pages, and I think we went back to basics, and then we did a blog article first with a simpler iteration.
yeah,
And then when that worked, we were confident. Okay, this is going the right way. And then we rewrote the materials, and yeah, halving it, and then it worked.
yeah.
Yeah, but luckily it was an independent unit, right? Because you built the core business logic first, and then you put the three interfaces around it. Was that a good teaching moment as well? How we structure these apps, professional apps?
It was beautiful. And I don't think it was luckily. I think you guys did a great job of designing it and figuring out to do that. And when we hit a speed bump, that worked. It proved itself, right? So
But to Juanjo's credit, right? He launched the MVP. He designed the initial curriculum. It was great.
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, and it was hard, and it was really a good thing that you went through the process as it was supposed to be, because we worked backwards. We built the MVP, and then we say, okay, how do we teach people how to get from zero to this MVP in 6 weeks? And it was a challenge, and we realized that, oh, Telegram is way too much, because probably I've done many other things with Telegram and the basics are covered, but here you need to put the basics, which are not trivial, and then you put a lot of things on top of that. So I think with your feedback, which is a goal, that we improved the content, and now we are going to switch for the next cohort, which are already in the oven. We're going to switch for the same path you are going through. We generate first the curriculum, we write the code, and we see if there are missing gaps. We go back, iterate, and at least when we launch, we are confident that people will struggle less. Let's say that it was a good, very good teaching moments also from you to us in this cohort.
Yeah, I was very pleased. I learned many things that I did not expect to learn.
Do you have a couple of examples of that? Maybe also from PR reviews, things that you didn't expect you would learn?
Sure. Well, I think the biggest pain for me was finally understanding something about what mocking involves. I even asked a friend of mine who's a test automation Python guy about mocking, and he said, I never really understood that. And so I thought, and I should have been doing it, I think, from the very beginning, but I was nervous about doing it and trying to do too many other things, and so I just put it off until about week 4 or 5, at which point I just couldn't put it off anymore, because Juanjo smacked me upside the head and said, no, you have to do this. You're not allowed to do the stuff in the way that you're doing it. That's not real software. And I said, okay. And you guys got me to the point where I could actually separate my unit tests, which were independent of outside services, from my integration tests. And I learned stuff about PyTest, and I learned stuff about mocking, and I learned stuff about my own code. I just ended up thinking about things in a different way. So that was really good. Thank you.
Oh, welcome.
Awesome. Really happy to hear. Yeah. And you wrote the code by hand, right? And used AI as a learning tool, right? I think you used Notebook LM for cars and podcasts, but it was deliberate learning, right? With it.
Oh yeah.
The old way almost.
Yeah, but not quite the old way. I mean, frankly, I'd get to a point and I'd say, I understand conceptually what to do here, but I just don't know enough Python to struggle through trying to read manual pages and documentation and figure all this stuff out and work through all the bugs in that short amount of time. So show me how to do this, or I have this problem and I'm bumping my nose against it and I can't figure out how to get there. Can you show me a way? And so AI turns into a great teaching assistant, is I guess the right way to say it.
And you had the unit test, right? Was that helpful to have kind of that definition of done for every week?
Oh yes, and I think one thing that I discovered was that I forget what you had originally advertised about numbers of tests, but even with the number of tests that you talked about, I wasn't close to coverage. And so I learned that I had to write a lot more tests. And you should tell
Yeah,
your
you
students.
really went way and beyond with the coverage, right? You wanted to always have like almost 100%, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to have 100% coverage. I thought I had it, but now I've discovered that when I put it onto a Debian system, I still have a function that's not covered there. And I don't know why yet, but I'll find out by the end of the week because I'm going to track it down.
Yeah, the test suite already paying dividends, right? That it was at the end it started to catch things for you as well, right?
Oh, yes. And I still would like to try to do mutation testing to improve my test suite, but I haven't
Yeah,
had.
when you came in week 1, I'm like, oh my god! So here comes Jeff with his super template repo, and he's using T-Bump. Like, are you
Yeah.
launching a package? No, I do my own releases. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And he has like mod mutation testing. Jeff, that's not needed, but I applaud it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Very nice. Yeah.
I've done software for a while, and so I can't not know the things that I do know, even though there's oceans of things that I don't.
Yeah.
Right? But I learned about mute from you. Well, not mute, but mutation testing.
Back in the PyBytes learning learning path.
Absolutely. And I mean, you have to understand that when I was, for example, teaching at the University of Colorado back in the 1970s and early 1980s, back before your parents were born, that there were people who talked about mutation testing. I think they used a different word, but and everybody thought, oh, that would be nice, but that's not really possible. And then you, Bob, were the person who said, oh no, we can do that now. And I tried it, and you were right, as is so often the case. So
Yeah, give them some feedback when you have the complete mod run. Somebody else has hinted at adding more type hints to the test, which is great. And we love all that feedback, right? Because we are constantly then making the curriculum better. And you gave us a lot of feedback, so it got a lot better already with this run. You know.
Yeah.
I think I didn't give you enough feedback, but you can't do everything.
Yeah, well, you did a lot. Yeah,
You did that a lot, yeah, Tom. Definitely.
It takes more time to do n+1 things than it takes to do n things.
Yeah.
So what else can I answer for you? What else would you like to ask me?
Jorge, do you have anything specific?
Well, yeah, you've talked a lot about what you've learned, but this cohort was about AI. What do you think this AI thing in this cohort can help you understand better how an agentic system works, or do you find missing pieces? What's your take on this part?
I think my example there is a silly application, a silly AI agent that I found called I can't remember the name of it, but it's a browser that is like Wikipedia, and it is Halupedia because all its entries are hallucinations, and so you look up things and you say, you know, tell me about Juanjo and Bob and their contributions to life, and it will give you all sorts of entries just as Wikipedia would, and you pick one of them, and they're all silly, and you pick one of them and it generates an article on the fly. And I thought, wait, I understand how this works, because what's happening is I understand how it's taking an input, how it's validating my input and formulating it into a structure. and then handing it off to AI and getting back a structured output that the guy who wrote it defined, and then reformatting it in a way that gives me an answer, and also tossing the results into a database, because if you ask for that again, you get the same entry. I thought, I know how this code is designed. I know how it actually works. And that's a big deal. It's different having done it than it is even reading about it. If somebody had written an explanation, I'd read it, and then a week later, I might say, oh, yeah, I read an interesting article about that, and I sort of have a vague idea. And then a month later, I would say, I remember I read an article about it, but I don't remember anything about it. And 2 months later, somebody would ask me about it. I'd say, oh, I've never heard of that. And this, I think I understand something.
That's good.
That's a big win. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that, because you can read about it, but you have been so entrenched in it, building it from scratch with the structure. So if that's the takeaway, that you now understand these systems, that's probably the bigger win than the repo, which is a nice artifact, right?
Yes.
You made a really nice README as well for it. But that's the artifact, right? That if you port the knowledge now for any future AI project,
Yes.
that's huge. Yeah.
And I understand that there are big pieces of AI that I haven't touched at all, but at least now I have boxes in my mind that differentiate the different kinds of things there are in AI in a way that I didn't have before. It was all a big undifferentiated cloud of things I didn't know. And now at least I can say, oh, I know this, I don't know that. I can sort of imagine this other thing. It's a huge help. And I'm eager to learn more.
Right.
Yeah. Always, we're a constant learning with this AI ecosystem. But yeah, I think it's a good starting point, this one, and I'm very happy with having you on board and having learned so much.
How did the two of you start doing AI stuff? I sort of know with Bob because I watched him do it. But how about you, Juan?
Well, I used to be a coachee of Bob. So Bob and I was my mentor some years ago, and when I was at the end of my, let's say, professional stage, the latest one I took, I was starting to have these insights into AI and this hype, and I said, how this can help us. And since I use Python, and it turns out AI is very Python friendly, I started to write, and I got hooked up to this AI. And since I know Bob, and Bob was, we were trying to collaborate, I think it came up naturally. And Bob is also a good learner, a good teacher. So why not? Yeah, let's spread the word and help people understand this AI.
Yes, it's a great thing. You've done a great thing. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did it. We did it. We got to the end, and you have a new cohort, and they're marching ahead. I think that's really, it's a good start.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well,
Uh,
thanks a lot, Jeff, and great accomplishment. Yeah,
absolutely.
happy with your result.